In this video, we have some very interesting news about the AEW Joker in the Casino ladder match coming up on this week's Dynamite. We also have some major news in regards to Britt Baker, NXT, Adam Cole, and we're also going to talk about some concern coming from Vince McMahon on the rise of AEW. As always, if you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring the bell. This way you can get notified on all of the latest content right here on DPW. All right, guys, so we're going to kick things off with Vince McMahon and his concern for AEW. By now, this shouldn't necessarily be news, but Mike Chioda, former WWE referee, had come out and spoke a little bit about Vince McMahon's control of the wrestling industry. Obviously, what he's done, in the history with territories and WCW and stuff like that. And then basically, obviously, now we've gotten to the point where AEW continues to rise, and there is a huge belief that Vince McMahon is concerned about the rise of AEW. Now, one thing I don't think that ever gets talked about a lot, but I think it's such an important detail in this particular topic, is the fact that when Nick Khan was brought into WWE prior to joining WWE, WWE actually briefed Nick Khan on the situation that AEW was this thing. So obviously WWE knew before AEW even really came out that there were plans for them to obviously have major competition. Now, as time has gone on, we have seen AEW deliver really good television, great job selling tickets, and on top of that, we've also seen AEW have some pretty big success selling their pay-per-views, which is really interesting considering that AEW does 4 pay-per-views a year for $50, and WWE does like 12 to 13 pay-per-views a year for $5 a month on Peacock. Now, here's the thing. Vince McMahon could very well be concerned with the rise of AEW. And I think everybody knows historically, Vince McMahon thrives on competition. So it brings me this question I want to bring to all of you today. Do we genuinely think that Vince McMahon and WWE are genuinely trying to compete with AEW right now as it stands? And the reason why I ask this question is, yes, WWE has made decisions in their business to counter-program AEW. They've also done different things. We saw Big E get the championship win on Raw. We saw WWE move NXT to Wednesday nights against AEW head-to-head, in which I think the general consensus is that WWE lost the Wednesday Night Wars. But do we genuinely feel like Vince McMahon has truly put his best foot forward to hurt AEW? And I ask this question because I'm legitimately curious on what people's response is. Because we know that to a degree, Vince is obviously concerned with the rise of AEW. Otherwise, the company wouldn't have made these decisions before. But also at the same time, too, I think when we watch Raw and SmackDown, I think sometimes there is a lack of effort on those shows. And, these last few weeks, you can call me crazy, but I've actually really enjoyed Raw and SmackDown. And I don't know if that's their way of trying to compete with AEW necessarily, but also at the same time too, I feel like it is a clear noticeable difference when WWE attempts to put on a good wrestling show versus when they're clearly not. And I really want to know what you guys think. I know we're all fans of AEW and what they're doing, but I just don't have this belief that Vince McMahon, although he is concerned about the rise of AEW, I don't think we've really seen Vince McMahon and WWE's true competitive spirit in regards to this war with AEW. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to get to that point. I know it sounds funny, but deep down inside, I have this weird belief that maybe Vince McMahon and WWE actually love the idea of AEW. Think about it. WWE has a hard time getting back the casual fans. The casual fans. If AEW succeeds immensely, I feel like people would be able to figure out that AEW is not WWE, and then people will start tuning into WWE to see what they do. Maybe it's just a ridiculous idea, but what do you guys think about Vince's concern for AEW, and what do you guys expect for the future? Next story in today's video is about Britt Baker. In a recent interview, basically, she was just talking a little bit about WWE and her experience with WWE, having a tryout with WWE. As you guys know, WWE was actually looking at bringing Britt Baker in before AEW was a thing. Basically, what happened was WWE decided because Britt Baker was in her final year for education, they decided not to offer her a deal to come in. Coincidentally, once AEW became a thing, It was said that WWE kind of used Adam Cole as a way to gauge interest for Britt Baker to come to NXT. And they kind of did this without contract tampering, but obviously having that personal relationship between the two, WWE had really high regard for Britt Baker. And I don't know if this is shocking to you guys or not, but when you look at WWE versus AEW, we have seen quite a few talent from WWE go to AEW. We haven't seen any talent from AEW go to WWE. And it goes along with the story that WWE is no longer the one destination for pro wrestling anymore. We know this because obviously AEW, New Japan, Impact, ROH, and all these companies exist. So the real question is, what would have Britt Baker actually been in WWE? And how would she have succeeded in WWE? And would WWE push Britt Baker like AEW does? And quite honestly, I think they would have. I know we're all pretty critical of WWE and how they handle talent at times, but I do think Britt Baker got over in AEW, not because of AEW. I genuinely believe that Britt Baker got over in AEW because she did a great job getting better in AEW. I know this is kind of hard to believe, but when Britt Baker debuted in AEW, the fans did not like Britt Baker at all. And as time went on, Britt Baker improved and the fans really started to get over with Britt Baker. And that's a massive, massive, massive accomplishment, but not for AEW. I think it really 100% falls on the skills of Britt Baker, and I feel like she would have done that in WWE or AEW. The only difference is I don't think WWE would have ever put Britt Baker in a lights out match, which I do believe that's a key component to Britt Baker getting over in AEW. But I do think WWE would have seen a lot of value for Britt Baker on the main roster, especially when you have Becky and Charlotte and Sasha. I mean, guys, when you see something like that, when you have Bayley, Becca. Wow, I can't believe I said that, right? But when you have all of these different talented people, you could add Britt Baker into that mix, and I feel like AEW has their Charlotte Flair. I think they have their Becky Lynch with Britt Baker. They just don't really have that many other people to join her in that mix. I think WWE would have actually pushed her if they signed her. And it's just a really interesting story, to be honest with you. All right, guys, in our final story of the day, we have some news in regards to the AEW Joker. Now, we talked a little bit about this before. There was talks that maybe it could be Buddy Murphy because he teased himself. If you guys didn't know, he actually eventually deleted that tweet. There is a lot of speculation and a lot of rumors that expect Hangman Page to return at Dynamite. And when it comes to the long-term storytelling of Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, I don't actually like this idea. I gave it a little bit more thought, and the idea of Hangman Page coming back and winning a ladder match and then immediately getting a championship opportunity, yes, it works and it makes sense logically, but I think the story between Kenny and Hangman Page for so long has been built in different things and unique factors that made the storyline good. I don't really see how they can tie in Hangman Page just randomly coming back and getting the W. So yes, while it is expected that Hangman Page is to be revealed as the Joker, I don't know if this is a decision I think makes the most sense. But then again, too, AEW storytelling here has been really, really long, and at some point we just want to see Hangman Page win the championship. So if this is the only way we can get there, I will accept it. But I don't think this should be the case at all. And I also have to say, as much as I love the Joker being a heavily prominent feature in all of these type of matches, I don't like the fact that the Joker almost always wins the match. It just kind of takes away from the special celebration or the celebrating, like, I think it takes away from like the surprise factor, right? And it's hard to celebrate that sometimes when it's something we're accustomed to. I want to know what you guys think in the comments section down below. My name is Zango. This is Destination PW. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time right here on DPW.